or you come from some other tradition, that there's just, yeah, there's kind of enough basic agreement among, I think, sufficient people in this room to make it meaningful. And even if it's not meaningful, like we said yesterday, kind of exploring, okay, what would this mean if there's something that you can get out of it. And so the text that I'm going to use is actually composed by this theologian from the 9th century. And it's actually a song. So he wrote the music and the text in Latin that is sung at the opening of any sort of important event, and especially at the opening of the academic year in any Catholic university. And the premise of this song is simply that there is this Platonic realm that in some way, like Michael talks about, that does have a unity to it, that's like the way that we talk about God metaphysically, and that is both the source of ourselves and everything that exists in the world, and also the source of our knowledge. And so that if we want to learn well, we somehow have to be as in tune as possible with that same thing, that same, yeah, kind of universal mind that's the source of both what's in the world that we're trying to understand and that is directly in us when we're understanding. So the whole song is about inviting that in, inviting that, wanting that to happen, trying to get out of the things that take you away from that, get more in tune with that. And so I think that's a good, yeah, sentiment for beginning this day. We'll get in a little more into the main themes of this day afterwards, but that's the sort of general idea. So instead of singing this, which is hard to do online, there is a recording that you can open in this link that I'm going to share in this note. So like hopefully, yeah, that note just appeared to everyone that has the text. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to kind of lead us through a couple of the key images from this as just basic kind of meditative practice, kind of like the style of what we had yesterday with the boundless body exercise with Neil. And yeah, just invite you to enter into that, to see what this could mean to you and to see how this can prepare us for our discussion today. So you can start by just trying to find the relaxing position, and either closing your eyes, turning your gaze downward, attending to your breath, the sensation of your breath. You can hear the name for that, yeah, that creative force, that mind that we're invoking is spirit, which is a metaphor, an analogy from breath. That spirit means breath. It comes from the awareness of the ancient Hebrews of breath being what we all share in common. We had a very beautiful illustration of that yesterday in that exercise, where by attending to how we share our breath with the whole biosphere, it helps us realize that we are wholes but also parts. So just a minute attending to that. Breathing in, breathing out. Now we can turn to the text. So you can either just listen or follow along. Come, Creator Spirit, visit the minds of those who belong to you. Fill with grace from above the breast that you created. You are called the Consoler, the gift of God Most High. Living spring, fire, love, and spiritual anointing. Here we try to visualize these images of the water, the living spring, the flowing water that comes out of the ground, that is the sustenance of life. And then fire that seems to be opposed to water. We use both of these to refer to the same reality of what sustains all life on earth, because fire and water being equally necessary. love and spiritual anointing. We also attend to this reality that our ethical urge, this tendency to cooperation that Martin told us about yesterday, that this comes from the same source as the being of everything, and that our science, our knowledge, should be united to that love, coming from that love. Now we can move to the next verse, continuing to look for images for this reality that's beyond our limited intelligence, but that calls it forth. Sevenfold in action. Finger of God's right hand, solemnly promised by the Father, enriching the throat with speech. The Spirit is active and creative. That our confidence in its reality as source of love, as benevolent, is not mere passivity or acceptance of just the status quo as something static. This is the finger of God's right hand. What makes new things, drives them forward, diversifies, is a promise, a commitment that has that stability of vision over time. And that is a source of language, enriching the throat with speech, enabling us to communicate with one another in a way that's meaningful to everyone, and that binds us together. And now we move to our requests. That can be strange to make a request as a part to the whole, that our relationship to this Spirit isn't the same as our relationship to just other people, other objects. But there's still some way in which we can make a request, address this petition. And there are two things that we ask. First, the positive, kindle a light for our senses. Pour out love into our hearts. We want all of our powers of sense perception to be illuminated, to be in sync with this higher reality, this unified intelligence. Strengthen us by your power to bear the weaknesses of our body. And then addressing the negative side, aware that there are forces of distraction and dissipation that are necessary to the whole process, but that individually can lead us off track. And we know that in our work, in our lives. And so we ask, may you drive the enemy far off. May you swiftly grant peace. Thus, with you ahead as our leader, may we avoid everything harmful. And asking for that peace universally, not just in ourselves, in our meeting, but also aware of everything that's happening all over the world, these conflicts, these divisions that we want to be overcome. Now we enter the conclusion. So here each one of us can see in what ways this is meaningful. This language used here is the center of how Christians understand that divine reality. We won't get into a whole explanation of it here. But this is a petition for knowledge of God, which again is not knowledge of an ordinary object, but is what holds everything else together. Grant that through you we may know the Father. May we encounter the Son as well, and you, the Spirit of both. May we rely on you at all times. So with that, we can conclude. gather these petitions, these desires together, these desires for a good meeting, productive meeting, a meeting where we're attentive to the demands of reality, avoiding getting caught up on our own internal worlds, our own private imaginations, and trying to truly work as a community. We can return to our places, open our eyes. And this note should be available if you want to come back to it later. So I hope that